after the offertory, then we come to what we call the Eucharistic prayer. And most of us are familiar with 4 of them because those are the ones that are in the missalettes. But there are 10 of them that are approved for English-speaking peoples, 10 different Eucharistic prayers. And, of course, the priest knows which ones to use based on the special occasion. And it always begins with this beautiful preface, which is a prayer of praise and thanksgiving to the Trinity. And there are over 81 of them in the Roman Missal that are all designed to suit particular days, particular feasts, and so forth. So it's very beautiful. And then we end with this beautiful acclamation praising the Trinity, where we say, Holy, 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 or in Latin, Sanctus, 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 which is very beautiful. And then right after that, as the priest begins the Eucharistic prayer, we have what we call the epiclesis.
Okay, what's the epiclesis?
Epiclesis is a Greek word that means calling down. And what happens, the priest is holding his hands in the praying position, and then he takes his hands like this, them over the elements, and he's calling down the Holy Spirit. Well, he's calling down the Holy Spirit not only on the bread and wine, which will shortly be changed into the body and blood of Christ, but he's calling down the Holy Spirit on us, that we will be transformed into Christ. So again, you can see that our participating in that prayer and asking the Holy Spirit, change me, transform me, teach me how to love Jesus, teach me how to be a better father, how to be a better husband. This is very powerful. And God can't resist this kind of prayer. And so, and what I do with my children when they're small is I tell them, now look for the epiclesis and watch for it. Now it's a custom in many parishes to ring bells at that time. But sometimes, like in our parish, they do that, but sometimes the officers forget to ring the bells. But the kids can notice that, and that's a reminder. It helps them to pay attention to what's happening. And then what follows, then, the beautiful prayer that follows this, are the words of institution.
Okay. What are the words of institution?
That is where Jesus, speaking in the person of Christ, the head, is going to say the words of consecration. This is my body, which is given for you.
Okay, so Jesus is speaking these words through the priest.
Through this priest. Okay. See, it's always Jesus, the priest, behind the priest, and in the priest, and through the priest that's acting. And so what happens is what was bread is now transformed into his body and blood. And in the Hebrew idiom, the idea of the body, this is my body, it doesn't mean just Jesus' physical body. It refers to the totality of his person. So Jesus is saying to the Father, Father, I surrender to you my hopes, my dreams, my ambitions, the entirety of my life. I give it all to you for them.
Okay, let's stop there for a minute, because a lot of people really struggle with saying, okay, Father, I'm going to give you my will and let your will
be done.
Your will be done.
Right.
That's not always easy to do, is it?
No, it's easy to say that's what I want to do, but it's hard to carry it out. In fact, I met with my spiritual director last week, and that's exactly what I was saying. It's really easy to have this resolution. It sure is hard to carry it out on a consistent basis all day long.
That's right.
That's the challenge. That's the challenge.
But Jesus did it so beautifully, and look what comes from it, right?
But when we enter into that, he begins to change us.
Okay, so is that like the exact moment
of consecration?
Of consecration.
That is when what was bread now is no longer bread, but it still looks like bread.
Okay, when we were on a family vacation, we had an experience at a mass, so it was not a church we were used to going to, where the priest, at the exact moment of consecration, Christ saying it, he started to just sing, "He is here now." And it just made it hit everybody. People started to cry around the church.
Right.
that we knew that the exact...
He's there.
He's there. It had taken place.
And then he says the second consecration, this is my blood. Now, why the double consecration? Because symbolically, if I separate your body and blood, what has happened to you? You've died.
Right. So
it symbolizes the death of Christ on the cross. Obviously, he's not dying again. There's no suffering. But it symbolizes, what it represents is Jesus' eternal decision to offer himself to the Father for us. In other words, if he needed it, he would continually go through crucifixion to save us. He doesn't, because it's not needed. But that's his desire. So when he says, this is my blood, which is given for you, he's saying, Father, all the suffering, the rejection, the pain, I willingly accept all of that for them. And again, what ought we to be saying? Father, my suffering, my pain, the things that bother me, my frustrations, my worries, I surrender all of that for you and for them.
I discussed with a few people that when the Mass is taking place, all of heaven is with us. And I have one precious friend, a couple, who lost a child.
Right.
And they cannot wait to go to Mass on the weekend because they know their son is with them.
Right, exactly.
In a very beautiful way during the Mass.
If we could see with heavenly eyes what was in church during Mass, none of us would be sitting or standing. We would all want to be laying down. It's awesome.